As you know, I'm here to talk about a situation where I had a stalker. Yes, this is a real life situation where I actually had a stalker, and this is a crazy story. So, hear the whole thing because it kind of got. I'm just going to tell the story. So, and I'm hungry too because I saved my appetite for this story. I got me some crab legs. I made some shrimp. I basically got a seafood boil. Now, I don't really do these, but I'm gonna try some. You know, I've had them before. I don't really care for them, but I'm gonna try some. And I love, 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 love potatoes. And there's some egg in there somewhere. But I'm not gonna like hold it up. I'm gonna go ahead and get to this story. So yeah, y'all, I had a real life stalker. So I'm gonna tell the whole story while I eat. So there was a time, this was a while ago too. It was probably like, what year? I'm gonna say around 2009. This happened to me. I was hoping I didn't start. Y'all get the hiccups when you haven't ate all day and you brush. And then you get the hiccups. So I hope these hiccups, well, it ain't gonna ruin my food. Okay, so basically in 2009, I had moved to the Gulf Coast, which the reason I moved there, that's a whole nother story for another story time. But for this story time, basically I had moved there, like I said, for a reason, which I'm not going to even bring up on this story time. So I had been there for probably a little over 6 months or whatever. Still didn't really know a whole lot of people, but I was getting to know some people. I got some white rice and some lemons too. So anyways, at this point, I was relocating. Like, I had moved to Mississippi, but I had found like another apartment because I didn't really care for the first apartment that I had got while I was there. So I was moving into another one. And I was moving into there also for another reason for why I had went there. Well, as I kid you not, the day I was moving in, there was this guy, and he was standing outside, and he saw me, you know, like moving my stuff in. So he was like, hey, you know, how you doing? He said his name, which I'm not gonna say on here. I don't even think I really remember his name. Anyways. But, so he said, you know, he introduced himself, and he was like, you need some help moving your stuff in? And at first, you know, I was thinking like, he a little too nice. Always go with your gut feeling. I was like, he a little too nice. But I was like, oh, thank you. I said, yeah, you could just sit it. Because I had parked, like, the apartments that I was in at this time, you could pull right up to the apartment. So my car was, like, right there. So it ain't like I was moving, like, far with my stuff. So anyways, he's helping me move my stuff from the car to the doorstep. And, you know, he talking, he asking questions, trying to get to know me or whatever. He complimented me, you know, say I look nice or whatever. And I was like, oh, thank you or whatever. And he was a nice looking guy. So he told me, he said, I don't live here. I'm from here, but I don't live here. He said, my mom is sick with cancer. So I'm here just trying to, you know, help my mom out. Sorry, I'm a little hungry. I'm gonna throw this away. So I'm thinking like, oh, that's nice, you know. He, you know, helping his mom. I kind of felt bad because, you know, mom's sick with the cancer and stuff. So I'm like, oh, how's your mom doing? You know, he's like, oh, she's making it. She's good. Doing better than she was. You know, she's going through the chemo and stuff. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I noticed after I got all my stuff to the door, I'm trying to close the door. And he was just standing there. And he was like, well, I mean, since you're not really from here, he said, I'm from here. You know, mind hanging out and stuff. And at first I was thinking, oh, sure, you know, that'd be cool. So we exchanged numbers. And he still was standing there like, he wanted me to invite him in or something, which I don't do. So I'm standing there looking at him like, bye. But so anyways, I told him, I said, I'm kind of busy. I want to unpack my stuff, and, you know, I have some stuff that I need to take care of. So I said, just call me later, because we exchanged numbers. So he was like, okay, cool. Now, red flag 1 is, I remember, like, maybe 20, 30 minutes. It wasn't that long. After, sorry if I'm smacking them up. It's good. So, yeah, about 20-something, 30 minutes, not too long after, he was like, knocking on my door. So he was like, I thought about it, and he said, did you want to go have some dinner or something? Have you ate? And I was like, oh no, I'm fine. You know, I told him, I said, I was going somewhere that day or whatever. So I said, I'll take a rain check. Like, that used to be my favorite, where I don't say that no more. But I always used to say, I'll take a rain check if I can't do something at that moment. And then I always took a rain check. Well, so he was like, okay. So then, long story short, I'm gonna skip, because like it's a long story, so I'm gonna skip a little bit of stuff. So basically, we ended up talking on the phone. But I noticed like he was calling and trying to talk for, like, he don't want to get off the phone type of talk. So I would have to always say, oh, okay, well, ooh, look at that. Get some of that juice in there. As a matter of fact, I ain't even using my lemons. Okay, so we used to talk on the phone, and, you know, we was getting to know each other and stuff, and I just felt like Normally I have the gloves on, but today, So, you know, he was, like I said, we was getting to know each other. But I noticed, like, he was asking me a lot of questions. He was always asking me a lot of questions. And I would only tell him what I wanted him to know. But at first I thought, you know, he's a cool person. Like I said, he was nice looking. But my soul just, I didn't, you know, like him to be like, try to date him. This corn. I basically looked at him more like somebody I could probably be friends with or something. But I could tell that he was trying to like date me. So I went ahead because after like a couple weeks of conversating, he finally asked me to go out again. So I was like, you know what? Let me just go out with this guy. So he took me to dinner, and we've had, well, it wasn't dinner, it was lunch actually. He took me to lunch. And I noticed like he would be staring at me. Like, I don't even know if it was like a mesmerized look. I took it at that time like he just really liked me or something, or he think I'm beautiful or something. But he would just be staring. You know, and just really like listening to what I say. Because like I say, he would always try to ask me a lot of questions. And I would be trying to ask him stuff. And he would, you know, he would respond, but it was always straightforward, never like in detail or nothing. He wasn't a talker. He was like a person who questioned you and just listened to you talk. So after that dinner date, when he dropped me off, he was like trying to come in. This time, I let him come in because I wasn't doing nothing. So I let him come in. He was sitting on the couch. We were sitting on the couch, we were watching TV, and small talking. He telling me about, you know, where he's from. Not where he's from, but where he lives at, you know, before coming back to stay with his mom. And he was supposed to only be there for like a couple more weeks, he said. So I was thinking, too, if I did like him, what's the point? Because I never really was into that long distance relationship. Maybe long distance communication, but not long distance relationships. So he ended up leaving that day. I'm trying to, because there was like a few times that he came by. You know, never got close. We just always was talking. But he would always try to overstay his welcome, and I would have to make an excuse for him to leave. And then I started noticing he would just voluntarily just start knocking at my door, which I've never been a person that like people to just pop up at my house. Like, I don't have that type of house. Call me and let me know you're coming a month in advance. No, I'm joking, but shoot, I'm not joking. But, you know, give me a heads up that you're coming. So because he stayed, his mom stayed in apartments upstairs from, like, on the, not right directly upstairs, but like on the back side of my same apartment building upstairs. That's where she stayed. I never went up there because, you know, I knew that wasn't his place. That was his mom's place. So he tried to ask me out again. And I told him, because I think I was kind of like, I had an interest in somebody else at that time that I had met while I was there too. That's another reason why I wasn't trying to entertain anything with him. So once he saw that I wasn't interested, his aggression got like more, like calling all the time. And I would have to, I'm the type of person that I always answer my phone. Like if I don't answer, I'm gonna be calling the person right back. I've always been that type of person, because I always feel like, because I don't really just call people unless I want, you know, to talk about something, or, you know, it's something that I need to talk to you about. So that's the type of person. Like, I'm not a phone person. I will talk to my friends every now and then on the phone, but that's far and few between. Look at how big this is. Oh my goodness. This gonna be good. I really don't care. Like, this scares me. Like, I hate when I see this type of stuff on my food. Like, I know it's just a seed thing, but like, what is that? Like, I'm not sucking on that. Ugh. I'm still gonna eat the meat though. I don't care. But where's my eggs? I'm trying to find an egg, y'all. Okay, here's the egg. Way down there. Yeah. Some people don't think eggs go in crab rolls, but I love eggs. But yeah, so basically he started getting more aggressive with the calling and showing up at the house. And I used to think, like, what if I had a guy here? Like, that's rude. So he finally asked me one day, like, you think, you know, that you could get serious with me? And I told him, I said, I really don't. I tried my best to say it in the nicest way I could. Like I said, I really don't. I said, I got a lot going on right now. And I did. I was dealing with some stuff. That's the reason I came down there. But I told him, I said, I'm really dealing with a lot of stuff right now. That's the last thing on my mind right now. Is dating. You know, I'm focused on what I'm dealing with. So he took that as me being hard to get, I guess. Because he didn't care about me saying that. And so he still was coming, still was calling, still was trying to take me out. So I had actually, at this point, because, okay, so this is what happened. I stopped answering his phone calls. So the showing up still was happening. Now, I haven't even gotten to the stalker part. You know, this is just the signs of the future stalker. So, like I say, he started coming back to my apartment. It seemed like he would, like, I don't know if he was, I don't want to think he was standing outside. But literally every time I would come out my house, it probably was 1 or 2 times that it didn't happen. But every time I would come out my house, he was either coming around the corner or somewhere, because there was like the leasing office building over there. He would be over there getting mail or something. You know, it was like he was always doing something to where he would see me come into my car or pulling up to go in the house. And that was starting to get annoying. And so I started thinking, you know what? I'm not even finna really worry about it, because he's not going to be here too much longer, and then I'll be at peace. So I was just counting down the days, basically. But the more aggressive he got, the more I started, like, ignoring his phone calls, not answering my door. And then I would call him, because he would show up at my door, and I started calling him and be like, I'm in the shower, I'm busy, I'm trying to sleep. Is that you at my door? And he'd be like, oh yeah, I was just, I got a movie I wanted us to watch. Or it was always some reason that he would come to my door. I'm just saying, if you need anything from the store, it's just anything. And so at this point, I'm like, well, he's just trying to be a friend or whatever. So I wasn't really concerned. It was just annoying. So the week came that I remember him telling me that he was supposed to leave. And he said, oh, I'm going to stay a little longer because of whatever he had to do with his mom. So he's like, I'm staying a little bit longer. So I'm like, So I worked at the mall. So once I seen that he was staying longer, I just started telling him I'm busy. And I remember, like, I stopped coming home because I had other things I was doing. So sometimes I wouldn't come home. He would be, he was like, call my phone, and if I don't answer, he'd call back. Like, not right back, but if I don't call him back in like 20, 30 minutes, it was almost like we was in a relationship. And he was like, where you at? So I wouldn't answer the phone or whatever. So I worked, like I said, I worked at the mall, and he knew I worked at the mall. He started walking past my job inside the mall, and he would be looking in there, and then I would tell my coworkers, like, oh my God, and they'd be like, what? And they started knowing him because, you know, the first time I seen him do this, I pointed him out to them. And then I told them who he was. And they was like, that's weird. But once they started seeing, like, a pattern of him walking past, speaking, he would even start, first he was walking past and like, looking in there and speaking. But he got to the point where he started coming in there, like, is Angela in here? And they would be like, well, at first they would be like, she's in the back. But once they saw how I felt about that situation, they started saying, no, you know, she's doing somebody's hair. Because I was a cosmetologist at the time. So I was like one of the stylists at this place that I worked at. So they like, she's doing someone's hair. And then he would still try to come back there and peek and stuff. But, so yeah, so I thought that was creepy. And it just kept getting creepier and creepier because there was like a Super Bowl around that time. I think the Saints had made it to the Super Bowl around that time. And so I remember us having a conversation, like, before, when we first found out that they were going to the Super Bowl, of where I was going to be hanging out. So I went up there one night, and lo and behold, he was sitting right by the door with a girl. And he was facing the door, and she was facing him. Which I thought that was kind of weird, but I was kind of glad that I saw him with the girl. Because I'm like, oh, okay, good, you know. Oh, look at that. I was like, okay, good. He got somebody. Now he can leave me alone. But I thought it was weird because he had just been, you know, coming up to my job and stuff. So I'm like, when did this happen? But I didn't speak to him because at this point I was annoyed by him. And I went and sat at the bar because I had went there by myself this night. Because it was kind of like right by near where I stayed at. So it wasn't unnatural for him to be there. But it just was kind of creepy because every time I kind of looked over that way, he wasn't even paying her no attention. He was just looking over at me and just, you know, looking. And I don't know if he was staring because I would just kind of glance and say, oh, he's still looking. I got uncomfortable that night, so I left. And just went back home. And I could see the place from where I live, so they came right out not too long after I left. Him and her came out. And he parked right in front of my apartments with her in the car. And they were just sitting out there talking. And I thought that was weird. Because it's like, dude, park in the back. That's where your mom stays, in the back. But he didn't. So anyways, that night was weird. So I went to work and I told my coworkers, I was like, this is getting weird. Like, he wants to be seen And they was like, just ignore him. He'll be okay. But at least he got somebody to entertain him now. He'll start leaving you alone. So one day, not too long after all of that, my transmission on my car had went out. So my car was just always sitting at my apartments for a little bit because I couldn't get it fixed at that moment. And so I lived like on the coast, so it wasn't nothing for me to just catch the trolley right off the beach to the mall, which was right down the street off the coast. For anybody who live in the Gulfport or Gulf Coast area or been to the Gulf Coast area, you know the coastal strip. And I stay right off the coastal strip at this time. So now I'm taking a trolley to work. So I guess it didn't take long for him to figure out that my car was down, because I guess he was seeing me still at work, still moving around. So this one day, because he knew what time I got off work. Like, I had a regular schedule. It never changed. So I'm leaving work to get on the trolley. And him and the girl are driving through the parking lot. Because I had to walk, like, across the parking lot to go to the trolley. And him and the girl is driving in the parking lot. And it's easy to see because, like, the malls get ready to close anyways at a certain time. So they're driving. She looking like, I'm assuming, I won't know, never know, but I'm assuming he told her something or told her to drive by me, because she literally slowly drove by me. Like, they turned around in this one parking lot across the street from the mall, and then they came around and then they drove past me slowly. His seat is leaned back, and I'm like, I know your car. I saw you when you first was in the parking lot parked. I saw you turn around across the street. I'm very observant person. I don't know if that's like because I was in the military, but I'm very observant person. So I pay attention. And like I said, I saw all of that. So I didn't feel like I was in any danger or anything. My son just came in. So I didn't feel like I was in any danger or anything at that time. I just felt it was weird. So I went on to the trolley thing or whatever. They circled around 2 more times, not exaggerated. I went home, and at this point, because he was still calling me every now and then. So at this point, I waited for him to call me, because I was like, we finna have a talk about this. So he called me like nothing was wrong. Hey, how was your day? Like, he didn't call me that night. It was like a couple days later from this time. And he was like, hey, how was your day? And I said, I need to talk to you. I said, because this is getting weird. What's getting weird? What are you talking about? Is what he tried to say. I said, I seen you in the parking lot. And he tried to deny it. No, yeah, we were up at the mall, but I didn't see you, and we weren't following you or whatever. She was driving, and she's just my friend, and we were talking and driving and minding our business. We didn't see you. So he denying it at this point. I'm really not buying it, but at the same time, I'm young, so, and I'm not really young, but I guess it's still a little naive. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe I'm tripping. So like, so yeah, I said I'm fine. I'm doing, you know, me. Focus on my other situation. That's all I've been up to. I said, but I just wanted to let you know that I have somebody. So you don't need to, you know, be calling no more because, you know, I feel that would be disrespectful. He like, we just friends. How is that disrespectful? And blah, blah, blah. Nothing I said or did, he would get that I didn't want to be bothering with him. He would still be calling me. So I got so irritated to the point that I just stopped even answering his phones, answering my door. Just started ignoring him altogether because I was like, this dude is weird. So and plus I was like, where? I thought he was leaving. Like, why is he still here? So lo and behold, all of that stopped. All the calls, all the showing up, everything stopped. Didn't even really see him no more. So I was good. And for about 2 months, haven't heard from him. He haven't called me. Everything great. And I forgot to mention too, like a couple times when he came by the house, he would be standing in the doorway and he actually tried to kiss me. And that's when I would be like, you're doing too much. And I would close my door. So, like I said, haven't heard from him. Haven't seen him. Nothing. One night, here's where it gets crazy. So one night, I'm watching TV in my living room. And it's like 11 something at night. And I get a knock at the door. And I'm thinking like, who is this? This is weird because nobody just shows up to my house. So I go to the door. And it's him. And I'm like about to cuss him out. I'm about to like go off on him. And he says, I work for the company. And we got a call that there's a water leak. This is no joke. He said, I work for the company. He had a badge and everything from my the company, the housing, the what is the housing office or whatever you call it, the main office. He had his name on there and everything. And he said he got a call that there was a leak and he just needed to check my bathroom. When I say I was so dumbfounded at that moment, because I was like, you mean to tell me he back here and he works for the company? So I asked him, I said, you work for the company? I let him in because I guess I didn't feel any danger, which by now I should have. But I said, you work for the company, you know? And he was like, good. He said, I had left and went back to Chicago, but I got hired in here. So basically, he applied before he left and went back to Chicago. And he only went back to Chicago to get his stuff and get everything situated back in Chicago. And he moved back up there and got hired into my housing office. And I thought that was so weird because my apartment manager was an older guy. And he was really nice. And I was cool with him. And he stayed upstairs from me on the backside, kind of where he stayed. So I was like, he's the building manager. Why is he coming over here? So he looked back there. He didn't see nothing, which I knew wasn't nothing leaking. And he didn't just leave. He started the conversation again, standing at my door, and he was looking at me, and I kept like talking to him a little bit or whatever, but I was kind of uncomfortable at this point because it took a minute for everything that had just happened to register. This guy really worked for the company, and I was questioning him, trying to get some understanding. Like, I thought you was moving back to Chicago. You know, what is he doing? He explained a little bit of that to me. Like, he went back there, and he ended up getting a job with the company because he applied for the company, which I thought was weird. And he still wouldn't leave. So I was like, well, I'm going to go sleep. I got to get up in the morning. And he tried to kiss me. And I was like, I said, you have to go. And he was like, why? Why are you acting like that? You know, just weird. Like, why are you acting like that? And I said, you have to go. And I closed the door and I locked it. And I called one of my friends and told them what happened because I was just like fed up at that point. So I texted him. Because my friend was like, just text him and make it clear. Just be rude because you ain't rude enough to him. You're being too nice. So I texted him. I said, look, don't come to my house anymore that late. I'm not for sure if the company sent you here, but I believe, I get it, you work there. I just don't want you to come. You know, have them send somebody else. Why didn't the building manager come? And we left that alone. He never responded. No, he did respond. He was like, okay, whatever, or something like that. I couldn't respond with no. He just said, okay, whatever. A week went by. And at this point, I'm trying to get my brakes fixed on the car. I mean, my transmission, not my brakes. I'm trying to get my transmission fixed on the car. And one of my guy friends that I knew there was looking at my car. So my phone rings and it's him. And I'm like crying at this point. So the guy, my friend who was working on the car, came in to tell me what was needed for the car to get fixed. And he saw me crying and he was like, what's wrong with you? And I said, I'm sorry. I said, I'm just so fed up. And I just started crying like, this guy, he won't leave me alone. He keeps calling me. And I skipped, like, I skipped a lot of it because I don't want this story to be too long because it's already been 40 minutes. He used to drive past, you know, his music loud and stuff so that I would look out the window and, you know, just to let me know that he was there. And this is all before he disappeared the one time. So anyways, at this point, I'm in tears. He won't leave me alone. And I had just hung up on him. So my phone is ringing while I'm explaining to him that I keep telling this guy not to call me. And he just keeps calling me. And so he's like, well, let me speak to him as your brother. Let me speak to him. Sometimes men need another man to tell them about themselves. So he answered. He said, you don't mind if I answer the phone? So he answered the phone because I just handed it to him. And he was like, you know, I ain't gonna say his name because I really don't remember it. But he was like, but he said his name at that time. And he was like, she doesn't want you calling her. She said she's asked you numerous times. He wasn't rude. He was nice when he said it. He was just saying, she said she don't want you to call her. Look, she said she's, you know, told you not to call. She's upset right now. Just respect her wishes and stop calling her. If a woman don't want you to call them, you know, he just talking to him. And then you could hear him screaming through the phone like, why are you on the phone? Why couldn't she have told me that? And then he said, obviously she has told you that, and that's why she's upset now because you don't get it. That's why I'm telling you. And he started yelling. I don't remember what he was saying because I couldn't really hear at this point. But he started yelling and then he hung up. So then my guy friend gave me back my phone and he was like, I'm kind of like fooling now, y'all. I'm sorry. Now I'm gonna try to eat one more. So he was basically like, here, he hung up. He was like, you know, sometimes that's all it takes for another guy to hear another guy's voice tell him, you know, that you don't want to be bothered. And, you know, he probably won't come or call you no more. So he thought it was all good. So he leaves. I'm like, thank you so much or whatever. And I swear, before he could even get out of the driveway, because see, he don't know that guy's, he didn't know the guy's car or whatever. Because he probably would have turned around, because I'm sure they passed each other going out the driveway. Yeah. He left from wherever he was, and he obviously wasn't in back at the apartments, because, or maybe he was, because I don't know where he came from, but I know he pulled up. Excuse me. He pulled up to my apartment, and I could see his shadow, because I heard him pull up, and I could see his shadow walking up to my, through my window. I could see his shadow walking up to my door, and then he started bamming on the door. And then I'm like, is that him or is that the other guy? Because I'm pretty sure, like I said, I saw him leaving and I saw another car pulling up, so I didn't think it was the other guy. But I was like, he bamming on my door, is that the other guy? I'm like, oh my God, don't tell me that this is him. And so I went and kind of looked, and I guess he heard me or something, so he started bamming on my window. He was like, I know you in there, open the door. You got some other dude calling me. Like we was in a relationship or something. So at this point, my heart dropped into my stomach. I'm scared as I don't know what, because I'm thinking he finna bust into my apartment. So I ran into my closet. I got the phone, and I called 911, and I was in full-blown tears, like, please. And then they were like, 911, help you? I'm like, please. I said, I just told this guy, I have a stalker. He been stalking me forever. And I just started, like, going through all the stuff that I just told y'all that he was doing. And why he bamming on the door. She was like, oh my God, is that him? She was like, you can still talk to me. She was like, where are you? Are you safe? I said, I'm in the closet. She was like, stay in the closet because I have the police on their way. And when I say they got there so dang fast, because I'm on the phone with her and I didn't even get out as much of the story to her, and I could hear the sirens. And he clearly didn't care that the sirens, because I could still hear him banging. And then I guess when they pulled into the apartments, he started walking back towards his car, because once I heard the sirens get closer, I started peeking out the closet, out my bedroom window looking, and he was walking back towards his car, and they slammed him on the car, and they put him in handcuffs. And you can hear him out there saying, I work for the leasing office. She's behind on her rent, and I was coming to collect the rent. Now, mind you, I hadn't paid my rent for that month. I can't even lie. But that's not why he was coming over there, because I had already talked to the leasing office and told them that I was going to be paying late. I already gave them a date that I was going to be paying for that month. He obviously had went all through my records in the office and knew my business, because you could hear him out there saying, you know, she's behind her rent, and this is multiple times. So this time I was just coming to collect the rent, blah, blah, blah. And then there was a lady officer, and there was a man officer. And then at this, by this point, his mom and his sister comes downstairs, and they like, what, let my son, you know, the mom and the sister, like, let my son go. What did he do or whatever? And they're like, ma'am, your son is stalking this young lady. And this, I could hear them, because like the man had him outside and he's yelling all this stuff. The lady came in to see if I was okay, and she was, you know, getting my side of the story, and she believed me, because she could tell that I was just that terrified and distraught. And we could hear them outside while me and her were talking. We stopped talking because we started hearing the mom and the sister and them saying that he didn't, you know, he doesn't never do this. He has a girlfriend and blah, blah. And I got so upset. I went outside, and the lady officer was like, no, 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 don't go out there. And I was like, no, because they need to know. And I ran out the door, and I was like, I was like, you don't know what your son has been putting me through. I don't know what kind of relationship he got with whoever, but he is still harassing me. And I'm crying. And you could tell, like, the mom, she believed what she was saying at first. But when I came out there and I was so upset, she looked at me and then she looked at him. And it's almost like, okay, maybe, you know, it was like she had a little sympathy for me. Like, maybe I'm jumping the gun. So they kind of like calmed down and was just like, okay, you know, maybe she telling the truth, because I was that upset. And I was telling her, like, I started saying stuff like, he, even with the girlfriend, he drove around the parking lot with the girl or whatever. So I don't know what kind of girlfriend that is, and he's still worried about what, you know, I'm just going off. So anyways, the police basically, once they got everybody, you know, calmed down, they got his side of the story and they got my side of the story, they actually called the apartment leasing office, because the leasing office wasn't, it was like, we have a little one leasing office, but we had a main leasing office, which was somewhere else, like 10 minutes from where I lived. And they had called the leasing office basically while he was standing there, and was like telling the leasing office, like, okay, he's saying that y'all sent him there because, you know, her leases, they didn't know what they didn't know what they were talking about. And he was like, for who? And the lady was like, no, I already talked to her. We didn't send him, because the police was calling to basically tell them, don't ever send him back to my house no more. He can't be in so many feet of me anymore. And if he is, they're going to arrest him. They don't play. Like, one thing I appreciate about them is they don't play with that stalking stuff. Because they were so mean to him. Like, they were really telling him, don't ever talk to her again. We will arrest you. This is the first warning and the last warning. Well, back to the leasing office, they said they didn't tell him to do none of that stuff. They didn't even know what they was talking about. So the police asked him, I said, well, one night he came by her house for the leaky water, and he said that y'all sent him, because they was like, we never sent him to her house. And they was like, well, one day, and then they were like, no, we didn't. So that's when everybody knew that he was stalking me. So y'all, I'm full. But just so you know, to end that story, basically, I left there. I moved out of the state. After that happened, I was so scared, because I seen him a few more times after that. But because of everything that he had done to me, and like I said, I skipped a lot of the stalking stuff of, you know, the showing up at different places and looking and coming on my job and calling and coming in front of my door, you know, standing in front of my door and stuff. It was just so crazy. So after that happened with the police and them telling him not to come to my door, I didn't believe that them saying that was going to stop him. I said, if this man could move himself back here from out of another state and actually get a job at the leasing office of my apartments just to harass me and go through my personal business, like, I felt like he had all my personal business that the leasing office would have. So it was like, I felt like I need to get out of here, because, you know, I'm one of those people who watch a lot of the crime stories and stuff because of the field that I worked in prior to now. So I take that stuff very serious. And if I see the signs, like, I don't play with that kind of stuff. So anyways, I ended up moving out of the state. And I've never heard or saw from this man again. I changed my number and everything, because, and it was kind of messed up because I had never changed I had my number for so many years. But after that, I was just like, I'm finna change everything. I changed my address, I changed my number and everything. And it just so happened that some things that, like I said, is another story time, had came to pass during all of this situation. So it was like right on time for me to just get up out of there and just leave. So I hope you enjoyed my story time. And I still got a bunch of food left that I'm not finna eat, because this is a lot of food. You know, when you're hungry, you be like, I can eat all of this, but I can't. So till next time, maybe before I go, I will do another story time. As a matter of fact, I'll just start doing some story times for you guys. So this is my first story time, and I hope you enjoy my story time of my stalker. And I want to say this too, ladies, if you have a situation, anything close to what I just told you that I went through, take it serious. Because a lot of people don't get that lucky to, you know, have the police save them or something worse to happen, because people are sick. There's people that's sick out here, and I don't know why they are that way or what makes them that way, but they show you signs, and it's up to us to pay attention to those signs and take them serious. So with that being said, the champ is out until next time.